You just got a raise. Your income went from $1,500 a month to $4,000. On paper, you should feel completely different, richer, more secure, free. But somehow you don't. You still check your account before buying something small. You still feel that quiet tightness at the end of the month. You still feel in some strange way almost as poor as before. This isn't in your head, and it isn't bad luck. It's a well documented pattern, and once you understand how it works, you'll start noticing it everywhere in your own life. Here's what actually happens. As your income grows, your spending grows almost automatically to match it. A better car, a nicer apartment, more expensive nights out, new subscriptions you didn't have before. None of it feels reckless in the moment. Each purchase seems justified, even reasonable, given how much more you're earning now. This pattern has a name: lifestyle creep. It's not about a single bad decision. It's about your sense of normal quietly shifting upward every single time your income does, without you ever consciously deciding it should. Here's what it actually looks like with real numbers. At $1,500 a month, you rent a small apartment, cook most of your meals, and take the bus. Every dollar has a clear job. Then your income jumps to $4,000. Almost overnight, you move to a bigger apartment because you can afford it now. You start eating out several times a week because after a long day of work, you deserve it. You get a car because waiting for the bus feels beneath your new salary. None of these decisions happen in one sitting. They arrive one at a time, months apart, each one perfectly reasonable on its own. But add them up, and by the end of the year, you're spending almost the entire $4,000, the same way you used to spend almost the entire $1,500. The number changed. The feeling of barely making it did not. And here's the part that explains why it feels so invisible while it's happening. Researchers who study happiness and income, most notably economists Daniel Kahneman and Angus Deaton, found something counterintuitive. Beyond a certain income level, people's sense of well-being stops rising at the same pace as their earnings. You make more, you spend more, but you don't feel proportionally better. The gap between income and satisfaction just keeps widening. This isn't just a theory about ordinary earners either. Some of the clearest evidence comes from an unlikely place. Lottery winners. Multiple studies tracking people after a sudden windfall found the same surprising pattern. There's a brief spike in happiness right after the win, but within a year or two, most winners settle back down to roughly the same baseline satisfaction they had before, even though their bank account looks completely different. The money is real. The lifestyle upgrade is real. But the feeling of being set for life fades almost as quickly as it arrived, because the same adaptation process kicks in, just on a much bigger scale. So if more money doesn't reliably make you feel more secure, why does the spending keep climbing anyway? The answer lies in something psychologists call the hedonic treadmill. It's the same mechanism behind why a new phone, a new car, or a nicer apartment feels amazing for a few weeks and then quietly becomes just normal. You adapt to the new level almost immediately. And once you've adapted, that same level of comfort no longer feels like an upgrade. It feels like the baseline. To feel that same lift again, you need something more. Picture it like a treadmill you can't get off. You're running, working harder, earning more, but you're not actually moving forward. You're just keeping pace with a belt that speeds up every time you do. This explains something that confuses a lot of people about their own finances: how someone can double their income and still feel like they're barely keeping their head above water. It's not that the math doesn't work, it's that the target keeps moving right alongside the income, so the feeling of enough never actually arrives. And this isn't a personal failure or lack of discipline. It's a predictable response built into how humans adapt to almost everything, not just money. Your brain isn't wired to register income increases as lasting improvements. It's wired to normalize them and then look for the next thing to want. This is the same reflex that made the bigger apartment feel exciting for exactly 3 weeks before it became just where you live. The only real way to break the cycle is surprisingly simple, even if it isn't easy. Whenever your income rises, you have to intentionally decide not to let your spending rise with it, at least not entirely. Instead of letting a raise quietly disappear into a slightly nicer version of your old life, you redirect a fixed portion of it into savings or investments, before your lifestyle has the chance to adjust and claim it as normal. Some people do this by automatically moving a percentage of every raise straight into a separate account the same day it hits their paycheck, before it ever touches their regular spending money. The money never gets the chance to feel like extra cash lying around, so there's nothing to slowly absorb into a new normal. It sounds small, but that one decision is the difference between someone whose wealth actually grows over the years and someone who earns more and more, decade after decade, while somehow never feeling like they're getting ahead. So the next time you get a raise or a bonus or any unexpected extra income, pay attention to the next 30 days. That's usually when the quiet upgrades start creeping in, the slightly nicer version of things you already had. If you can catch that moment and redirect even a portion of it before it becomes your new normal, you're not just avoiding a trap. You're stepping off a treadmill that a lot of people spend their entire working lives running on without ever realizing it was there. This is worth sitting with for a moment because it reframes a question a lot of people ask themselves at some point. How much would actually be enough? For most people chasing that number, the honest answer is that no fixed amount will ever feel like enough on its own. Not because they're doing something wrong, but because the goalposts move automatically unless you make a deliberate choice to stop them. In the end, feeling poor isn't always about how much you earn. Sometimes it's about how quietly your sense of enough keeps moving the finish line further away.